How to put English on the basketball.
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of With the English podcast with myself as usual and Sam. Last week we took a break, but we're now back and we're also welcome Matt from the Shooters Lounge podcast. Matt, how you doing?
How are we doing, gents? Good evening to you. It's an absolute pleasure to be on with the English podcast. Thanks very much.
Thanks for giving us your time.
Absolutely.
Why are you laughing, Sam?
No, it's nice to have a compliment.
Right, let's start off, Matt. I just wanted to know sort of how Shooters Lounge started, how you got into the NBA, why you support the Suns, and what's your journey up until now?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, following basketball pretty much started way back when, 1996,
Wow.
which was a very long time ago. The NBA started to be covered on Channel 4 midway through the season. Started with the All-Star game. It was Michael Jordan's first season back after his sabbatical. I saw it advertised for weeks, Channel 4 covering the NBA, and my brother used to like the NBA and he kind of collared me into watching it with him. And once I watched it, saw Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, all them guys, I was hooked straight away. I saw Jordan and I was just like, who is this guy? I haven't seen anybody like that, an athlete such as him. And just to see how amazing he was on the court, I was hooked from then, mate, to be honest. I kind of followed it from that point on for a few years, not really picking a team, just kind of watching it in general, watching the finals. And then it got to like the mid 2000s and I thought, if I'm going to take this seriously, I really should pick a team and kind of run with that and see how it goes. So I just picked the Suns. I liked the way they played, exciting. It was the 7 seconds or less era, Steve Nash. They were just an exciting team to watch. Unfortunately, didn't win anything, but I thought, yeah, them guys, I'm going to rock with them guys. You know, it was exciting the way they played. It was always entertaining. Didn't always come up with the win, but it was always fun to watch. And so I kind of went from the mid 2000s to the present day, man.
So when you said 96, I thought it was going to be a connection to Space Jam and Charles Barkley, and that's why you picked the Suns.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good guess, bro. I'll be honest. Yeah, that's probably a better story than what I've got, actually.
But what happened is you waited,
I did.
and then you still picked a team that didn't win anything.
Yeah, it's boring picking the Lakers, bro, isn't it? They just win and win.
Yeah,
it's just terrible, isn't it? You know.
Well, you say that, but you know, as Sam likes to joke, obviously I'm still quite new to the game, and when I did a lot of digging on the Lakers to find out they were in their worst sort of period ever, essentially, when after Dr. Joe Buss passed away, they're playing hot potato if who wants to own it or take control over it. And some of the lineups I see thrown on X still about the dark days are like, I don't know how Lakers fans got through it, given all the success to you know, the deep dark days of before, sort of that gap between the young blood coming through with Jordan Clarkson and Randall. That gives you a bit of hope because you have a young team, so there's a young core and there could be a future. Naturally, Lakers are too impatient to have a young core grow together. They want stars, and obviously the player in LeBron James that splits fan bases in half joins to rectify the last several years. So yes, it can be, I guess, seen as boring as choosing the Lakers. Also, we mentioned before we jumped on that, you know, your Suns have quite good jerseys, so I would have respected you for picking based off your jerseys, to be honest.
That's true, man. We always nail the jersey concept, man. It's always the court designs are always sick as well, and yeah, it's definitely a good team to have. But it costs you a lot of money, bro, because you want to buy every jersey. That's the downside.
I was going to say, for your financial purposes, you probably wish you picked like the Clippers or you know, a team with awful jerseys.
Yeah. My bank, I think, had thanked me a lot more. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it's definitely an expensive thing. It's either sneakers or jerseys, mate, for me. So
Yeah.
it's an expensive hobby.
And
It is.
so how did Shooters Lounge come about? Because I know that's not your first podcast, is it?
No, I've had a couple of podcasts over the years, man. First one I did was in 2012, which was called The Top of the Key. That was my first podcast where I delved into the podcast realm. That was kind of 2012 was when the podcast was it was the new thing and it was booming, and I thought, I could talk nonsense for an hour a week on basketball. Yeah, that sounds great. So me and a couple of my mates kind of did it. It wasn't video back then; it was just audio only. One, because I hadn't got a clue how to do the video and audio together. Did that for a couple of seasons, and then my two mates were like, "Luke, you know, we don't really follow it as much now, so you know, we're kind of going to take a step back." So I was like, "Oh, great. Nobody's going to want to listen to me ramble on my own for 45 minutes a night." So I kind of stopped the podcast. And then I got contacted by somebody in lockdown asking me if I wanted to come on their video podcast, which was on YouTube. It was called The End of the Bench. And I got contacted just out the blue on Twitter. He just messaged me going, do you fancy coming on this show and talking NBA? And I was like, I mulled it over and I was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, you know, let's do it. I haven't really done that kind of video thing before. Doing it live as well kind of felt like it was a live kind of TV show or radio show or something. So it's like, okay, that's new. We'll see how we go. Yeah, we did that for a couple of seasons, and then he unfortunately decided to make it obsolete. And there was kind of 4 or 5 of us who kind of went regularly on the show, and we kind of had a discussion between us going, well, are we going to keep this thing running? And everybody's like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, right, okay, who's going to set up the podcast? And then it was kind of like crickets. It was like, yeah, I would, but I'm dead busy. And oh yeah, I would, you know, and kids and you know, things get in the way. And I was like, right, okay. So it's either start something or you know, let it dwindle away. And I kind of thought to myself, you know, I enjoy doing it. You're talking about something you're interested in and you're passionate about, then it doesn't feel like a chore or anything like that. So I was like, oh, come on, then I can do it and I'll take it on, kind of thing. And unfortunately, with my work, I can only do it like every other week. So, you know, I thought, should I do it live? Should I not? And I thought, right, okay, well, let's just try doing something every other week and see how it goes. And this is the first season of the Shooters Lounge. We started at the beginning of the season, so it's still quite new. You know, make some mistakes along the way. Yeah, you gents know what it's like about, you know, starting a podcast and things. You know, you learn a lot as you go, don't you? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you know, everyone's in this podcast world now. Like everyone's got one. I think it's just about. It's okay to make you know, we've had connection problems. I say to Sam, like, I listen to, you know, comedians and, you know, celebrities podcasts, and even they have issues with recording and whatnot. And so you just go with the flow, and like you say, it's a lot of time to give to it. You don't want to just put out any old dross. Obviously, you want to make sure you got good talking points and know a bit about what you're talking about. You know, I'm sure there's a few people that might listen to this and think what me and Sam have to say is absolute nonsense, but it opens dialogue. So
yeah,
I think, you know, I've followed football for years, yet never wanted to do anything like that regarding football. I think for me, basketball is just so addictive. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's where it's just so entertaining and such high stakes. And, you know, you mentioned about when you started watching with Michael Jordan, the athlete he was, and I think that's one of the first things I noticed is that these guys are absolute, like the biggest athletes in the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes they look small on TV, but up close, I'm sure, you know, they are absolute giants, to be fair. But
Yeah, giants among men, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
when
definitely.
I met Embiid, I was like 4 steps up, 5 steps up, and I was the same like level as him. I am 5'7" as well, but yeah,
Yeah.
literally handed him my shirt that I got signed, and I literally like
Oh, wow.
gave it to him. And he was like, and gave it back to me like it was nothing. And I'm like, you realize how much of a unit and like massive man you are. Like, just
Yeah.
it is mad.
Hey Sam, you made TJ McConnell look like Chet Holmgren.
Hey, no, there's not much difference between me and he's actually quite, he's what's he 5'11", so it's not exactly short, but for basketball, yes, it is. But yeah, it didn't feel too bad when I was stood next to him.
So I said obviously the NBA is quite addictive. You are really addicted to basketball, and you follow your college hoops as well. March Madness is just concluded. What do you think
Yeah.
about the current state of college hoops? I feel like the women's game is overtaken, to be honest.
Yeah, I think especially this year, mate. I think in the last couple of years, the popularity of the women's game in general, I think, has definitely risen. I think the viewership as well for the women's Final Four was larger than it's ever been. That
It was actually
LSU,
larger than last year's NBA Finals.
it says it all, bro, doesn't it? Yeah, do you know what I mean? So LSU and Iowa, South Carolina, those kind of teams, them are big in women's college basketball. Yeah, I mean, last night's game, the men's game, was a bit of an anticlimax, really. In the end, UConn coming away with the victory and taking back-to-back titles, which doesn't really happen in college basketball. In terms of the men's, it's very rare that teams win back-to-back titles, which now UConn have done. I think it's the first time since 2007. Florida Gators were the last team to go back-to-back, so it doesn't happen very often. So it's a thing, in history. I think there's only 5 or 6 teams that have won back-to-back. So, that's something to be commended. UConn have been the best team all year, mate. So it's not surprising. A lot of people had them in the brackets that Sam was mentioning earlier before we come on. So it wasn't a surprise, really. But Purdue, they've probably been the second best team all year. It's very rare when you get the number 1 and the number 2 teams all year kind of making it all the way, because there's always an upset when it comes to March Madness. So, but last night's game, UConn just second half just pulled away from Purdue, and they took away Purdue's 3-point shooting, which Purdue is the main focal point of their offense, is their 3-point shooting. I think they're in the top 3 of 3-point shooting. And basically UConn just took that away. They were like, we are not letting you have 3 points, basically, I think they had 8 attempts in the whole game, which is a very low number.
Wow.
And they just let Edey in the middle, just like, we'll play you one-on-one. We've got a 7-footer as well, and we'll let you play one-on-one. But we're going to limit everybody else, basically. So they were like, we don't think that one guy can beat us. He had 37, so he had a brilliant game. But they just took everything else away from the rest of Purdue. UConn, they did a great job, great scouting job by Coach Hurley of UConn. He's probably up there now in terms of one of the best coaches in college basketball right now. It probably won't be long before NBA teams might come knocking. It would not surprise me. But a bit of an anticlimax, really. I think the women's Final Four was a lot more exciting. Seemed to be bigger names, really. Caitlin Clark and a few others. They kind of took over during the week, man.
Well, a prime example, because I mentioned I don't really follow college basketball. I think they need to think about opening up the platforms overseas. One of the reasons I don't follow it is because I can't really watch it.
Yeah.
League Pass were obsessed with Wembenyama's team last year and would stream games from France. Why are they teaming up with the NCAA and putting March Madness on League Pass? I don't know, given the viewership. But as a person from the outside, I'm seeing more about the stars in the women's game.
Yeah.
I don't know, apart from Zach Edey, I don't know anyone else that's in the men's tournament from this year.
I think ESPN, though, having the rights helps with the women's game. Like with the men's, it's TNT, TVN. We don't get those here. Like you have to stream them. So, and the transfer portal is another thing as well. That's you used to be able to follow players through their college careers, and now it's like, oh, I can jump ship halfway through the year if they're not going to make the tournament. Bit like LeBron, just and KD, they will jump ship when they can.
Ouch.
Just saying.
He's
None of
played-
my boys.
LeBron's played for 3 teams.
But as soon as he thinks they're not going to win, he jumps ship. And he's the GM when he goes to those teams. So
I think his stint at the Lakers is the longest stint or joint longest stint with a team.
He jumped ship, yeah. My team, my players are loyal. Iverson was traded. He didn't ask to be traded. The last player that asked to be traded from us was Barkley because the organisation treated him badly and didn't put stars around him.
You wait till you get dumped at the third round this year and #3MB starts trending.
Just saying, you two boys have got players that you're used to with your 2 teams, but I'm not, you see, so I'm quite lucky. And I went through the process. You can't moan about the Lakers. I flew out to Philadelphia and sat front row and watched people like Henry Sims, who you probably never heard of, play, Jahlil Okafor, and Noel, Nerlens Noel, 3 big men that were just not very good. So yeah, I think the transfer portal. What do you think of the transfer?
I couldn't name you half your team now, so.
Anyway, we'll go back to college basketball quickly. Matt, what do you think of the transfer portal? Do you like it or not?
No, I mean, I think the college product in general, I think, is not what it once was. There's so many different avenues now to get to the league. An alternative to college basketball, you can go play abroad for a year and get paid, and then go into the league, or you can play in the G League. There's alternatives now to getting into.
So many routes to it. What's the route the Thompson twins took?
Well, they play for Overtime Elite, which it's not even a league. It's a group of people who train every week and then might play a game at the weekend, which is a bit of a glorified scrimmage kind of thing. And so I think Wiseman did the same. He was meant to play for Memphis, but I don't think ever played a single game. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out and train, and then I'll declare for the draft." So, I think that for me, if you go to college, you need to go for at least two years. You can't just go to college for 1 year. You're barely there 4 months, and then you've gone. I just think if you go into college, you need to commit to the school that you're going to as well, for me, and go through that way. But then if you want to go to the league straight from high school, you can, because that used to be a thing and then they got rid of it. It wouldn't surprise me if that comes back at some point.
Yeah,
possibly. I think as well, like the appeal from certainly March Madness is the one and done concept, sort of cup competition, and with that, we got next week the play-in situation.
We do.
All of our teams are involved in our respective conferences.
Yeah.
This could be the first time for the Suns, if I'm right. So, what I want to know, Matt, is what is your previous take on the play-in? And has it changed, or do you have a new take on it now your Suns could possibly be in it?
When I first heard about the play-in, I thought it was a terrible idea. When I first heard about it, I was like, who's decided this? This is ridiculous. And then when it finally came and I watched the games, I'm like, this is the greatest idea I've ever seen. And so I was, completely turned around and had to eat some humble pie on the podcast I was on. So
that's
I was definitely.
LeBron James changed his mind, doesn't he, on that? When we were going for the top 6, he was like, "What a stupid idea!" I think when we were going to finish 7th, what a stupid idea. Now we're always loitering at 9th and 10th spot. I think he loves the fact that there's a play.
Yeah, I mean, don't they just put you and Golden State Warriors? Don't they just pencil you in every year now? Is that?
I'm pretty sure it's scripted. And we're going to go into the remaining schedules and try and make some predictions somehow. But it feels like the league is just willing the Warriors to play Lakers in that 9, 10 seed with LeBron versus the Warriors dynasty, and one last dance on that front. But it's mad. It's going to be a 9 and 10 seed, to be honest. But that's a lot can change this week. I think when I messaged you the other week, it was chopping and changing, and now we're in the last few games. I asked you to make some predictions. Have you been able to make any predictions?
Like you say, man, the permutations. I tried to work it out on my podcast as well last night. Shameless plug for my own. Trying to work it out last night, man. And there's just so many to kind of try and consider. Like you say, it's the only seed that's kind of confirmed is Boston, because they've just ran away with the East, haven't they? They're so far ahead of everyone else that they've already locked up the 1 seed, haven't they? But other than that, all the other seedings in both conferences are still up for grabs, which I can't really remember ever being this close this late on.
We spoke about your the final run-in for Suns being the gauntlet of a schedule. And some years you could think, okay, we've got to play the top seed, the first seed, but they've already got their seeding, so they might throw out their second unit and rest some players. No. There are no days off.
There's no days off, mate.
The top 3 are still fighting it out for first place. Sorry, Sam, we'll get over to the East, but it's obviously a bit more boring over in the East. But yeah, I'll be honest. I've asked you to make some predictions. Matt, I've made no predictions because I was looking at the schedules. I'm looking at the seedings. I'm like, if you can predict how it's going to finish, then I want the lottery numbers from that person. Or they've got the leak to the script from Adam Silver.
Yeah, a bit like the NFL. The NFL script is always written, isn't it, already? Like you said, mate, for us, like our last 10 games have all been against teams who are in the playoffs. So it's been an absolute gauntlet for us so far. Last 10, we're not doing too bad. We're 7-3. Lost to the Pelicans. Lost to the Pelicans on Sunday, but we own the tiebreak over them, so that's going to help us. But I mean, we've got the Clippers twice this week, and then we've got the Kings, and then we've got the Timberwolves. So there's no days off, man. Like you say, we're definitely going to be playoff ready. That's sure.
And to make things more confusing, if ourselves, you, and Kings get into a 3-way tie, we'll be the bottom of that because of our conference or divisional record or something like that. So we have the tiebreak. I think it's the games versus each other. Although we have
it goes on that first season series first, and then if it's still a tie, then it'll go to the
conference. And there's some real they were talking about on one of the podcasts I listened to. There's some like weird and wonderful ones once you get past the conference and the head-to-head. It's like I think there is.
Is it like win-loss?
Yeah,
it's like win-loss versus playoff teams or something, and it's
there is a point where you can do a coin flip. There's like it has to go through like several scenarios, and then there can be an actual coin flip.
This could happen. This could actually happen. And the thing is, we have the tiebreaker versus the Suns, but because we only edged it 3-2, that's mainly because of the in-season tournament, thankfully.
Yeah.
But our season record against the Kings, we lost 4-0. So
were they your bogey team? I don't know, or something. They had you, didn't they? Every time. Sabonis
they were AD's bogey team.
Yeah, Sabonis had his way, didn't he?
And rabbit in headlights.
Yeah.
As soon as he sees the bonus. So if we get Kings in the play-in, I don't want that. I'd rather face you guys or even Dallas. Like I know Dallas are the informed team, and Kyrie and Luka are just going off every night. But I don't know what it is about Sabonis, but AD just it's like MB with Al Horford. Just can't. There's certain plays you just can't. Can't match up. I don't even mean that as a dig, Sam. You know that like Al Horford's a bit like his kryptonite.
Yeah, he just didn't do that for us when we had him. He didn't do like when we signed him, but he took a year off for him. Yeah, exactly. Agent Horford, as I call it, like people say about our football team Saints, we signed the goalkeeper from Pompey. He was on loan at Pompey. They called him Agent Bazunu, trying to get us relegated last year and not get us promoted this year. So that's what it feels like with Al Horford. But yeah, fair shout on that. I think the Nuggets will win the West, though. I think. I know it's hard to judge it, but for me, I think the Nuggets they'll take care of business. We argue about the West and the East and stuff like that, but I generally don't think the Timberwolves are a decent team. Maybe because Embiid can handle the big men that they have, but I don't think they're legit. Thunder, they're a young team, so they could cripple at any time. So yeah, I think Nuggets will take that number 1 seed, but I wouldn't want to guess the fifth downwards. That just be
The thing is, I know we have this argument every week about East versus West, but the reasons that the West have winning team, like quite high win percentages, is because of their records versus the East. So a lot of the teams at the top of the West, I heard something on the podcast earlier today that even for the Lakers down in 9th, our record over the East is like 10 games over 500. So above us, the other teams have like quite high over 500 records against the East. So it's made that Western Conference so, just altogether, like it's just going to be a crazy week of games. And before we started, you said it'd be fun, Matt, but I don't see anything fun about it.
Come on, this is the best time of the year, mate. This is my favourite time of the season, man. This is it. This is legends are made, bro. Legends are made.
I know,
here,
but
mate.
I'm all up for watching these important high stake games as a neutral.
Yeah,
watching my Lakers in these sorts of games, it's just a lot of stress and anxiety.
yeah. I think the Kings have got a few injuries, so I think they're trending down, aren't they? They've lost Monk and Herter as well, so I think they're trending downwards. So I think them and the Warriors are going to be in the 9-10. I think your Lakers. I think your Lakers are moving up. I think we're going to be in the play-in, bro. I think the Suns are going to be in the play-in, and I think the Pelicans are going to take the 6th seed. That's what I think is going to happen. So it's going to be Kings, Warriors, and then Suns, Lakers.
If you look at the schedule, I mean, Pelicans have got us, Golden State, and the Kings. So they got 3 games of teams all around them. And this is the other thing that makes it really interesting. The remaining schedule for these Western teams, there's a lot of matchups of the teams in the same area. Obviously, yourselves have got Clippers twice.
Yep.
And you've
away at the Kings and then away at Minnesota.
Nice schedule.
It's the gauntlet, mate. It's a gauntlet, but it's in your own hands, mate. And it's almost win or you're in the playing kind of scenario. Which
Yeah, I have to remind myself sometimes, because I can look at other results every night when the Lakers aren't playing. Like, I want Suns to lose, I want Pelicans to lose, I want Kings to lose. But at the end of the day, if we don't take care of our own business, it's all redundant anyway.
Absolutely.
So we have that. We lose against Timberwolves, and the Lakers fan base is like it's all doom and gloom, and we're going to finish. I mean, if we lose tonight against the Warriors, they'll be, and they win their game in hand on us, they'll be tied with us.
Yeah.
And if we lose, we don't have tiebreakers, so we could be 10th by Thursday.
Yeah, and then the pressure's really on. Then, dude.
We could still finish 6th.
Yeah, that's the variant, isn't it? It could go either way, man. That's the exciting part for me, man. It's still up for grabs, mate. Like you said, Sam. The 1 seed's still available, so it could be Minnesota, OKC, or Denver. It could be any one of those 3. Like you say, I think Denver's they're the most feared team in the West. I think that's pretty safe to say, isn't it? But I mean, Minnesota haven't skipped a beat really with Cat going out. So I was one of them people who thought Minnesota might be as good, if not better, without Cat. Personally, I'm not.
And OKC are at home for the rest of the season.
Are they really? So it's definitely up for grabs. It's going to be interesting. By the end of the week, we're going to know who's in the play-in. Like you say, next week's going to be the play-in.
I think the big one for the top seed is that Timberwolves versus Denver game in a few nights' time. Because Denver, basically, apart from that, they've got Utah, Spurs, and Memphis. They're going to take care of that.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so
it.
the
They've got
worst they're going
the
to have
easier one, haven't they? The easier running, I think, dude. Yeah.
oh yeah, they're going to be 3-1 over these 4 games at worst, and
Yeah.
possibly
Yeah,
4-0.
agree.
Essentially,
Yeah.
I just want to be in a coma until Monday, and then just wake up and fall down, and then look at the standings.
I mean, what a reward for, say, like OKC or Minnesota if they get the 1 seed and the reward is they get the Lakers in round 1. Or
Well, that happened. That happened
well
to
done,
Memphis.
lads. Yeah,
That happened to
exactly.
Memphis last year.
And then Memphis were dumped out, mate, and your season's over. You know, well done for finishing the 2nd seed, and you're out round 1. It's done.
I think that's what Sixers' tactic is. They want to finish 8th so they can have Celtics.
I think the 1st and 2nd seeds are under a massive disadvantage now because they have to wait until I think the last playing games on the Friday, and then they play on the Sunday. They don't know who their opponents are 48 hours before. They know they're playing at home, but I think they're at a massive disadvantage because the rest of the guys who are in 3, 4, 5, and 6, they've been preparing all week. They know who they've been playing all week.
And I think that really showed. I mean, we make a good point. I think that really showed for the Bucks last season.
Yeah. You know, and then all of a sudden you swept and the season's over, and it's like, yeah, we had a great year, and it's done, and the season's over, and that's it.
And Sam always says that the regular season means nothing.
Really?
I do. I say until Christmas, but yeah, you know, I think it's
Christmas. I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you.
You know, but like normally, like when I first went to Philly, and I've been to Philly before, the end of the season games are normally quite cheap unless there's a big game on. But I think the NBA are going to love this because you're not going to have these $20, $25 tickets now. You know, of the average price, it's going to be still like, you know, your 40, 50, $60 average price ticket now, because there is so much to play for across the conferences, you know, and that's the thing now, that the NBA have got this product. They've got it right. March Madness, I said all along, was a great like sort of example of how you can make basketball a bit more exciting. And obviously in-season tournament kind of rectifies that or reflects that a bit, but the play-in is the real one. I was kind of skeptical about it and was like, yeah, you know, blah blah blah. But actually, it is a good thing. And I'm not saying that because the Sixers are in it, because we guaranteed 7th anyway. So I'm sorry, 8th. So we'd still have been in the old school system. But yeah, we want to avoid Boston until the finals. Stupidly, the Bucks decided to give Drew Holiday to the Celtics and make him the best team in the NBA. So. You know, that's appreciated to everyone in the NBA, really. So yeah, that's why, like you say, they ran away with the East and got it wrapped up. But otherwise, yeah, like you say, so much to play for. It is going to be an exciting week. 40 because of no games yesterday because of the national championship. 14 or something games, 16 games tonight, or something like that.
Yeah, full slate, man, full slate.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So yeah.
Well, I don't know if you watched games live, Matt, but I'm obviously I'm going to wait till I wake up in the morning to see the dreaded.
No, he's a rookie. I'll be going to bed in a minute. I need to remember to take my contacts out so I don't fall asleep with them. But, yeah, I'll be going to sleep in a minute and waking up at just after midnight to watch.
Nice.
I'll be there for the play-in. Don't you worry.
You can't miss any of the playoff games, mate. I can't. Yeah, I'm straight on the socials.
See, Glenn, we didn't think about this, did we, when we chose our teams, man? It's 3 a.m.
Sam warned me that picking a Western team, you're going to kill yourself with the tip-off times. And
yeah, I must admit though, I found it easier waking up when we was on that West Coast trip because I got a bit of sleep in beforehand. But then it's the hype afterwards, like, you know. So I actually missed the Spurs game, but that would have been really hard to get over the hype of that, of like the way that game ended. But yeah, it is tough having a Western team. So you guys didn't, but that's your fault for picking those teams.
Absolutely my own fault, mate. Absolutely, yeah. But I don't regret picking the Suns, obviously. But because of my work, I get in at 2 a.m. anyway, so it's just at the right time for me.
That's pretty good. Then.
There you go.
So I'm already there, mate. Yeah, so we're halfway through the 12 o'clock games kind of thing, or just at the end. So. And then the West Coast games are starting, mate.
3 a.m. tip-offs. That once it's finished, I might as well just stay and continue for
Yeah.
the rest of the day.
Literally in the summertime, mate, the sun's coming up, mate. It's daytime. There you are. Seen the sun come up way too much, really, mate, to be honest.
Right, lads, shall we have a bit of a break and then we'll delve into the Eastern Conference, although there won't be much to talk about because it's less entertaining. And then we'll
Right.
finish with we got some X's and O's for you, Matt.
Nice. Looking forward to that, mate. Nice.
That's all right. We'll speak in a sec.
You go then, Sam.
I'll go. Right, we're back. We're back after a mini break, or AKA we're too tight to pay for full unlimited Zoom. We spoke about the Western Conference because obviously 2 out of the 3 are Western Conference on the pod tonight, but we will move over to the East where we will talk because, like we said previously before the break, it's really open bar the number 1 seed. So I know where I think things are going to end. So I'll open the floor up to you guys.
Now, come on, Sam. This is your moment, your stage. You're the Eastern fan. You've been giving it big in about the Sixers, and you kept all the receipts.
I have, yeah, 100%. So the Pacers will fall down to the 7th seed. The Sixers were overtaken, and I believe the Bucks will finish second purely because we'll beat Magic. To stop them from going down. I don't think the Knicks will win out. So I think that Bucks will finish second, Sixers will go 6th, Pacers will go 7, and I think potentially Knicks might nick will probably nick 3rd place because Magic will lose 3 games, 2 to the Bucks and 1 to the Sixers. So feel sorry for the Magic boys because they're really good on the socials, the UK Magic boys. Even like Markel Fultz, who I dislike, not because of how bad he was, but purely because he was a bit of an arse to one of my friends when he was over here, when the Sixers played over here. But I'm glad that those guys got to meet him and sign shirts and stuff. I think it was Grant, wasn't it, who was the big Fultz fan. But so sorry lads if you see this clip. But I think Magic will drop out. Knicks will get 3rd seed. Magic will get 4th or 5th. It depends how the Cavs goes out, but I don't want to call it fully. But that's where I kind of see it. What about you guys? Do you think Bucks will hold on to that 2nd seed?
They're a pretty dodgy 2nd seed at the moment. The Bucks are, man. They do not look good right now, man. They do not look good right now.
I'm just here smirking because I was just thinking that whole time. So I do not feel sorry for the Magic boys because I'm rooting for them. Like, they've got the Bucks twice.
That's
and
true.
They're a game back.
Yeah. I mean, if you were a Magic fan, if you'd have told the Magic fan at the start of the year, they'd have a chance to get the 2nd seed at the end of the season with a week to go, I think they'd have thought they'd had you committed or something, wouldn't they? They'd have told you were crazy, I think. Which they've had. I think they've overperformed. I think. Me personally, I thought they'd be in the shout of the playoffs, but to be as high as they are, I think they've done really well. Big fan of Banchero, to be fair.
Yeah, I was about to say I love Banchero.
Yeah, really good. He was by far consensus number 1 pick for me when he come through the draft. I was like, this isn't even a debate, mate. I've watched this guy play at Duke, mate. This guy is a number 1 pick.
The thing, 100%. If I remember rightly, it was debated, wasn't it, about
to the final day? On the day, they were still. Oh, they weren't sure what they were going to do. It might have been Jabari Smith or. I can't remember the other guy. It was like a 3-way. I was like, mate, this ain't even a debate, mate. It's Banchero, mate. It shouldn't be anymore. But I think they made the best choice in the end. The Knicks, I feel for the Knicks a bit because they've lost Randall for the year. That's a bit of a gutter for them. They probably needed Randall if they wanted to go kind of deep in the playoffs. So, but yeah,
they've handled themselves all right in the regular season. But I think you're right. I think without him to have a deep playoff run,
yeah. But how the referee playoff games, it suits teams like the Knicks and the Heat because they love the get down and dirty, as they say.
Matt, you can say boring, it's fine.
Hey, it depends what you like, bro. For me, that's kind of, I love that kind of stuff, like low scoring games.
If they're a football team, they'd be passing across the back line, trying not to concede.
Maybe. I mean, you can pick faults with every team, but
Yeah.
somebody's got to be the second and third seed, haven't they? You can pick faults with all. I mean, I watched Cleveland the other week against the Suns, and they didn't look anything good, but they could be the second seed if it all works out for them at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And the Pacers, Halliburton hasn't looked great the last 6 weeks or so.
I heard apparently he is carrying an injury, but he has a bonus clause in his contract, and he has to hit a certain amount of games. So apparently he's playing through it to get this bonus from his contract.
He might be thinking he needs to play the maximum amount of games, get all NBA, and then he's unlocking a hell of a load of more money. You're talking 40, 50 million difference.
Because essentially,
it's a lot of money, man.
We can risk injury with him because essentially, no disrespect to the Pacers, but they're not going to be contending, and there's only one team coming out of the East. So it's if he.
I've got a question for you, Sam. Every time Joel Embiid falls to the floor, do you hold your breath for 7 minutes after he's fallen to the floor, mate? Because if I was you, man, days.
And when Matt says fallen to the floor, he means thrown himself to the floor.
No, so
I was trying to be nice about it, but yeah.
No, so actually, he has been taught how to. He has taught himself how to land without the knee hitting the floor. So he does, but he does obviously buy fouls, and it is frustrating when he buys fouls. I do get annoyed when he sometimes buys them, but some of the criticism's unfair.
Do you want an interesting stat?
What?
I don't know the exact number, but Joel Embiid has been at the line more times than Jokic has this season, and Joel Embiid has missed a lot of games.
Well, it makes up for the fact that Maxey never gets any calls because he doesn't. He seems to get no calls at all.
Every player in the league doesn't get calls. The referees have been awful for everyone.
I think they got worse after the All-Star break. I think that they said they didn't change anything, but they really did. The games have been a lot more tighter, lower scoring. I think there's been a lot more picky calls since the All-Star break.
Yeah, you've just got to watch the games, lads, haven't you? After the All-Star break, it's like, man, it's like a playoff game. They're refereeing it like a playoff game, aren't they?
Everyone talks about how many times we get to the line, but the other night, AD gets smacked in the face, no foul called. So the agenda is always we get the whistles, but I will always argue that every team gets messed around by the referees' whistle. To be honest,
I agree. There certainly is calls that don't get made. I was watching a bit of the Clippers Cavs game the other day, and I forgot how annoying Harden is when he's not on your team. He's another one that loves to buy a foul, but again, it's a legit foul. I argue this with my American friends. They say that soccer is like a bit of a pansy sport, and also is basketball. If anything, basketball and baseball are a lot less because people get their panties in a twist if a baseball hits them. And don't get me wrong, they're getting hit at 80, 90 miles an hour plus. It hurts, but it's not really a contact sport. Basketball is definitely not a contact sport nowadays. Like you literally touch them, and it's a foul. So it's not
the only real contact sport is NHL. That's literally gloves off.
Did you see that the other day? The fight.
I did. I did.
Rangers like within seconds. Right, boom, gloves off, and it's just literally as soon as the puck dropped, it was like no, like that would be great to see that. So, well, I suppose the NBA wouldn't like that, but that would be great for us. I think there will be that should be on one of our next topics in the next couple of weeks. Is will there be a fight in the NBA? Because it gets intense in the 7 games.
Warriors Timberwolves tried it, didn't they? One of them games.
Thompson
tried it, didn't he? But pretty much straight away from the tip off.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this now. If NBA brought on the NHL rule and allowed fights, you will not see Draymond Green in a fight.
Oh yeah, he's a hold me back culture, isn't he? I think.
Hold me back. Hold me back.
I think he's I don't think he's a real hard man.
So when it comes to the play-in, the East versus the West is a bit of a different picture. We said towards the start, obviously, like say Matt, you now enjoy the concept of the play-in, but there should almost be like a rule set that if a team in 9th or 10th or 8th is so far behind the other teams, is there an argument that it's a bit of a waste of, or the team's not worthy? I mean, you know, I'm not. This is not to take shots. I'm being dead serious. Is there something that needs to be in place? Because you look at Chicago, they're in. You know, no disrespect to the Red Boys, but they're 6 games back from 8th. They're 4 games under 500. They could possibly be in the playoffs. They can make a run. Who knows? You know, Heat went on a mad run last season, but you know, we're almost rewarding teams that are winning 30-odd games in the season. If you go back to the East, you're looking at, you know, our son, you know, your Suns and my Lakers. If we won a couple more games, we'd be second in the East. You picked us up in the West and plopped us into that Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to worry about the playing and stress out this week. We'd be, you know, comfortable.
I think if you are below 500, mate, I think you should be stricken out, mate. You shouldn't be allowed to make it, mate. For me, if you're under 500, I think you should give it another couple of teams in the West who've got a better record, man. And then you just have the best in terms of record, regardless of conference.
Yeah,
that's not bad. Yeah, I agree. I think there is, you know.
But then again, you miss more TV money, don't you? Because if that was the case today, the East would be 7th and 8th playing game with Sixers in Miami or Pacers in Miami, whichever way it goes, and then you wouldn't have that extra night of NBA ticket revenue, you know, merchandise, all sorts with Chicago and Atlanta. And in theory, you know, the argument against that could be the fact that, you know, the Heat went on this mad run and everyone was, you know, you either hated it because you found it boring or whatever, because that was the complaints of the finals last year, or you found it a nice, you know, underdog story.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who thought it was boring, I mean, are they the TikTokers that we were discussing earlier? I don't know. You know,
I mean, I also made those jokes about some boring basketball teams, but at the end of the day, no game is boring. That's part of the reason why I love the sport, is that it's essentially it's literally end to end.
No, it is,
and no lead is safe anymore. You can be up 26-25. It does not matter.
No. Even if you're up 12 with about 2 minutes to go, you think, well, hit a couple of threes here, and you know, and it's.
Well, I think there was a game last season with New York and Dallas, wasn't there? I think New York were up like 8 or 9 with like 7 seconds to go. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, and then they hit 2 quick threes and went to the line or something, and then end up losing the game. So
it does seem that way. That like you say, that number now where you feel like, oh, the game's safe, is a lot more now than it used to be. That's for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Tracy McGrady moments.
We get to appreciate. We mentioned it the other week on our podcast. You know, the ecstasy of a buzzer beater. We saw ones the other night with Dallas versus Houston. You know, they just run up the court. They smother Luka. You think you've done your job. We're smothering Luka, but he can find a person out of a triple team, let alone a double team, and throws it to Exum. And Exum's had a great season. He's been sharp shooting from the 3-point line, and he literally hits at the buzzer. It goes into overtime, and the whole, you know, dynamic change of the game. And
what game was it when I was watching? It was just back and forth. It was a Suns game. Who was it you played and you came back from a big deficit? Me and my nipper were watching it a while back. I'm trying to think. Was it Kings or?
Yeah, we've done it a couple of times. We're very up and down this year, man. I'll be honest. I can't remember the game off the top of my head, mate.
Let me.
I was thinking, take your pick. Which game is that?
There was a game where you were training and they just turned it on, and I was just like, my son was like, "This is so good!" Like, because Durant was making shots and stuff like constantly, and it was just like, "Wow, that's the sort of thing that you know." And that's what he got excited, because my son doesn't watch a lot of basketball. He's named after, all my kids are named after basketball players in a way, but he very much like enjoyed that. No, we were watching it back in the morning on NBA TV, and he was like, "Oh wow, this is phenomenal!" Like how they just come back and just scored after being down. It was just like, it was the Bulls. It was the Bulls.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. We were down big against the Bucks, and I think we come back. We were down 20 odd in the first half and tied it in the third quarter, but we're the worst team. We're the worst fourth quarter team by an absolute mile this season, which is a great recipe for championship success.
So
we are
have
by far the worst fourth quarter team ever. I think, like, awful.
So you have to do all your business in 3 quarters then.
Literally, we need to be up like 30 by third quarter, or else no lead is safe when it comes to us, man. Very frustrating. We get outscored massively, and our offense just gets stagnant. But anyway,
Well, we had that with the Clippers a few weeks back. I think I was away for work and I couldn't really sleep, so I stuck it on the phone, and we were down by 19 or something with like 8 minutes left in the fourth. And I'm like, this is pointless. There's no point in watching this. But I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'll just continue. And LeBron hits, 3-point after 3-point. You're like, this is getting close now.
Yeah.
And then you end up in single digits, and then the momentum completely swings. And so I think we're all obviously follow football over here. I can't sit down and watch a game of football much anymore. I find it quite tedious. I don't know if it's because I'm overstimulated by how exciting NBA games are, that when I revert back to football now, it's just like, unless it's my own team, games can be quite tedious.
No, I agree, mate. I'm the same as you, bro. Yeah, unless it's my team or national team or something, I find it very difficult unless it's a real big game. Or something like that. Yeah, I find it quite difficult to stay kind of engaged with it now. I don't know, might just be me and my age.
Right.
I don't know what.
I think
a part of it is
Man City game seems pretty good. So notification it's 3-2 Man City now against Real Madrid. So
see there.
Champions League. I think Champions League games like that are exciting. But outside of that, you're right. And the Championship's quite exciting, even though being St. John's, we're probably not. And the title race. I think all the sports have kind of switched on a bit, but I wouldn't watch I'm at that stage now where I wouldn't watch a Super Sunday between 2 teams in the Premier League that are like I'm trying to think like a Fulham and I don't know, maybe I don't want to say Brighton because they're probably not mid-table, but just say that. But I would watch any NBA team on Sunday at 8:30. I'd sit back, relax. If there's no baseball on, I would watch that because it is more.
Anytime there's some UK friendly tip-offs of an evening, and that we're not, me and the wife aren't watching anything on TV. It's like, right, well, let's just whack any game on. I think at one point I've even watched like Washington versus Hornets probably at some point this season.
You must really love the NBA, bro.
Yeah, that's a tough watch.
That's a tough watch.
But yeah, we've got some really exciting games coming up. In fact, I think on Sunday we have the Pelicans at a nice 8:30 p.m. UK tip-off time, so a nice way to end the season.
Yeah, I think the Suns are on at 8:30 as well, dude. I think against the Timberwolves. So I think most of them are early. Usually the last games of the season are usually on quite early.
Yeah, is it?
They get it wrapped up or something.
Is it the Western teams are on early, but the Eastern teams are on?
No, we're on late. We've got an early one on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
But we will play. We hopefully will win the Pistons game and the Magic game, and maybe there'll be nothing to play for, so it won't matter because there's also a baseball game on at the same time. So
to sum up the East, the Sixers are out the play-in, in the play-in.
Sixers are going in at 6 seed. They're taking over the Pacers. We're not going to be in the play-in. We're gonna take care, but it's just a case of We'll see how it goes. But that's just I've kept the receipts. Like I said, we're going to get to the Eastern Conference Final and lose to the Celtics probably. But we're going to get to the Eastern Conference Final, and then we're in with a chance. That's all that matters.
Not the Celtics again.
I know.
Sick of seeing them guys, right?
I know. I hate losing to them. I hate it.
I think if we all hate the Celtics winning the East, we should all be blaming them, pointing fingers at the Bucks for
giving. They're the best team.
Holiday.
They're the best team in the NBA. It hurts me to say it. They're the best team in the NBA. Tatum is phenomenal. Brown is fantastic, and then Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday again. One of the first players that I fell in love with, like seeing live. He's such a great player, and that's unfortunate.
But it's like Liverpool going to Arsenal. Do you fancy having Van Dijk? Do you need a hand?
Never good.
Yeah, it's mad. It is mad.
But
Obviously, I know it didn't go down like that. Like I guess when they traded Drew Holiday, because he traded to Portland and then was he bought out? I can't remember the whole ins and outs of it.
No, Drew was traded.
Yeah, but was he traded to Portland?
No, it was like
a 3-team trade.
It wasn't a free. It was a freeway. It was a. Was it a three-way trade?
I think he was traded there originally, wasn't he?
He must, because I remember around the time.
It was. Oh yeah, it was a freeway. It was a freeway trade, wasn't it? It was. No, it was a direct trade. It was a direct trade. I just loaded it up. Celtics got Drew Holiday. Blazers got Brogdon, Williams, first-round pick via Warriors, and an unprotected first-round pick in 2029.
That's even more insane.
But I mean, Brogdon was a good player as well. He was just obviously he's not a defensive like.
No, I mean from the Bucks end, like you've gone from having one of the best sort of perimeter defenders and in the backcourt as well, and he can still score. He's not.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was
player, but he can still score.
This is why I was against Dame. Everyone was saying to me, and I remember you saying, I was like, I'm not trading Maxey for Lillard. Maxey's going to be better than Lillard, and or because he's on the decline. If it was 3 or 4 years ago, I would have completely got that trade. But Dame's clearly on the decline. He's still a great player, but he's not going to do what
you ain't. I keep saying this. You ain't winning anything with a backcourt of Malik Beasley and Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
No,
and aging Damian Lillard as well.
Might be some buyer's remorse from the Bucks, man. Might be some buyer's remorse with that. It hasn't worked out too well just yet. So. But I mean, we say it's not worked out. They're the second seed still, so it's not all doom and gloom, is it? But you know,
but like I say, man, they've only got that because of how weak the East is. That's not a true reflection.
I mean,
I think they're 15 in the last 30 games. So
yeah,
they got Doc Rivers.
I think a Celtics Bucks conference final would be a coaching malpractice seminar, wouldn't it? With Doc Rivers and Joe Mazzulla, right? That would be fun. For the neutral.
I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, right? But,
but it'd just be funny just to watch as a neutral going, look at these two, see what crazy things these pair can get up to.
But it shows how much the players play a part, because I think the best two coaches in the East are at Miami and Philadelphia, and both of them are in the play-in right now.
Yeah,
because of all the injuries they've had, like from an X and O's perspective, it was the best thing that Sixers did this offseason. Some people say Kelly Oubre was the best thing that we did, but actually, if you think about it, the best thing they did was get a good coach in, and that does make a massive difference. Like you said, it's you would question. How the Bucks, Rivers is throwing people under the bus from all over the place. Literally, the bus driver
already getting the excuses in. Already,
he's one step away from blaming his kids for the Bucks losing, isn't he?
Yeah, it'll blame Austin for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, shall we move on to X's and O's, Glenn?
Let's get on to X's and O's.
I like these. I sent over my one, so my one was a bit. I think it's nice, but I think Glenn's normally the nasty one. So if you don't like it, it's probably Glenn's.
I think they're quite friendly. Right. So number one, the current Suns team is better than the 2021 Finals Suns team.
Oof! Wow. 21 Suns do hold a dear place in my heart, because we shouldn't have made it to the finals, to be honest. That year, that was just one of those. It just kind of fell for us.
You only got past us because AD went down injured in game.
Oh, here we go. That's why I wanted to use that.
If you want to believe that, bro, that's fine. But I think I think we were just better than you on that occasion. Doesn't happen very often, so I have to take it when we do. So we've lost to you far too many times over the years, bro. To you and the Spurs. Usually seasons ended by one of you.
Buckle up, Matt, because the Spurs are going to beat us both for the next 15 years. So.
And the rest of the league probably, mate. Yeah. I think the 21 team was more. I think the current team now is probably got more talent, because obviously we've got two of the top 10 guys in the league with Booker and Durant. And then we've got Bradley Beal as well as this kind of big three. But I think the 21 team was more of a better team. We had a better second unit back then than we've got now. We field top heavy. This team that we've got now.
You've had to sacrifice the depth of the roster to facilitate the big three.
Broke my heart when we traded away Mikael Bridges, because watching him play was a joy to watch. And
I can imagine.
Hopefully one day he might come back home, kind of thing. But I think the 21 team, it was a better team, and obviously having so many years, we hadn't made the playoffs in 10 years until that year, and like you guys were saying, we've seen the dog days and things like that. I watched 10 years of just complete mediocrity from the Suns, and we were kind of the joke of the league for 8 to 10 years, and some very bad coaching, very bad teams from a bad owner who wasn't a very nice guy, as it eventually come to fruition that he wasn't a very nice person. Won't mention his name because he got talked about enough. But yeah, that team holds a special place in my heart, bro. The 21 team, mate. Mikael Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson. The campaign experience is always entertaining, which Sam's now experiencing. And watching Booker and Chris Paul, getting Chris Paul, because Chris Paul was one of them players who I enjoyed watching, and I thought, man, I'd love it if he was on my team one day. And I thought, it's not going to happen now. It's too late, kind of thing. And to get him and to watch him week in, week out was just a joy. His basketball IQ was amazing. And then the other guy I thought, it'd be great if I got him on our team, was KD. And he ended up on our team after. So they're kind of like two guys that I really enjoyed watching. And now that both of them have been on the team, so kind of spoilt really after having so many years of such mediocrity. And one of the best thing, the only good thing really that happened in those 10 years was drafting Booker, because seeing how he's blossomed into, for me, he's the best two guard in the league. I'll fight anybody who wants to.
Well, interesting you say that, because our next X and O, Devin Booker, will never win MVP.
Will never win MVP. Oh man, Devin Booker is going to win MVP, bro. I'd firmly believe it. Like I said, he's the best two guard in the league for me. There's some other guys who you can bring up. The league is so stacked now with talent. I firmly believe that Booker can. I think he's kind of got the full package for me. He can handle the ball. He's improved his defense, because when he come in the league, he was a bit of a turnstile defensively. Like he'd just watch people, just watch them go by, and it's like, you need to improve that, man. For me, that's what kind of guts me about Luka. I was kind of talking to this on my show last night. That's what, with Luka, he needs to improve that side of the ball for me before you kind of get into that superstar kind of realm. You need to play on both sides, and that's what I love about Ant-Man Edwards. He wants to guard the opposition's best player, and I love that. You take on the challenge, and it's like, well, I'll take him. I'll guard Steph Curry. I'll guard Kyrie.
He's had some mad highlight dunks, but it's probably his biggest play of the season was that last second block.
The block, man. Pacers, I think. Yeah, nearly decapitated himself. Like he got up that high, and big fan of Edwards as well. But why not Booker? Why not Booker? He could. The numbers he puts up. He goes on these scoring stretches, like 40s, 50s. 100%, man. He can win the MVP, man.
Yeah, he scored 70 points in losses.
Yeah, that was like the highlight, mate, of the whole season. Maybe the whole decade for the Suns, mate. That's as good as it got, mate. But he showed it even early on that he could put points up, like in bunches. And
I think it also depends on team success. I think that's obviously a big part to play in when it comes to the MVP voting.
Yeah, and people judge MVP different, don't they? Like for me, it's kind of like if you take that guy and remove him off that team, what would they be? And that's how I judge MVP. Other people judge it differently and take other things into account, but that's kind of how I judge it. If you take that player off that team, what would that team be? And would they be a playoff team even without him? I mean, if you took Booker off the Suns now, they could probably still be a playoff team because they've got KD and Beal. So, they kind of like splits votes. But, this season, for example, if you take Shea Gilgeous-Alexander off the Thunder, where would they still be a playoff team? I don't think so. I think so. He's kind of high up in the rankings for me when you're looking at MVP, man.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the long answer.
Next...
Sorry.
no, brilliant. No, it's good. After all the chat out of the week's schedule, Suns will drop into the play-in by the end of the week.
I do think the Suns are going to drop into the play-in. Yes, I do. Mate, when you've watched them all year and you've seen you see the ups and downs, and when you follow teams and you watch them week in, week out, and then you get these people on ESPN, they've probably done or somebody's done a couple of hours researching, the numbers say this, and then they come out and say that, and you're like, man, you can tell you haven't been watching the games like fans do. And that's what, fans are, it's short for fanatic, isn't it? Because you're watching them every game and you can see, it's like, yeah, okay, the numbers do say this, but you're clearly not watching the games. And
I was constantly arguing with people that when Westbrook was getting good box scores for the Lakers, but no one was watching the actual game, it's like, no, he has been awful. Like, do not look at his sort of triple doubles or double doubles. Like, most of that's in garbage minutes, and he's had to take 25 shots to get to 18 points. Like,
that's it. I think some people only read the box score. Oh well, he had 20, or he had 25 or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but he was 5 for 18, or something like that, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, the stats were there.
Or if you're Embiid, he's got 35 points, but 34 from the line. So.
Wow, such an Embiid hater, man. It's
just to wind Sam up.
Yeah, I think Sam's onto you, bro. I think he's.
Anyway, before he bites back at me, last one.
Sorry,
bigger, and this is Sam's one. If Suns don't make the Western Conference Finals, they have to blow it up this summer.
Blow up the big three. Blow up the big three.
Minus Booker, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure's on when you get a KD, man. That's the bar, isn't it? The bar is championship. But we're not building. We're not thinking 4 or 5 years down the line, are we? We're thinking win now. So it's. I don't think they will if they don't make it. But it's definitely something that you'll need to look at. They've been so up and down this season, and players have been out and been out in and out the lineup, and they said, "Oh, we need more time" and things like that. Well, now it's go time. Enough's enough with the excuses. It's time. It's go time.
If you don't make it, you can always send KD back to Brooklyn and get your boy Mikal Bridges back.
Oh yeah, man! I loved Mikal, mate. I loved watching him play, and Cam Johnson. I miss them guys. But to get KD, it's a no-brainer, mate. He's going to be one of the. He's going to go down as probably a top 10 player ever.
I don't know about you, but me and Sam always say we fall in love harder with role players than stars.
That's it, and
or players that you drafted and then traded away for Zaire Smith. I mean, that's.
Yeah, he really wanted to. He was really chuffed. He was going to go to Philly, wasn't he, Mikal?
Yeah, well, his mum worked for the Sixers as well.
Yeah, exactly. You saw his face at the draft, and he was like, "Oh."
So it hurts that you've got to experience a good player like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. But yeah, I mean, it's they might. I'm not a fan of the big three. I have 2 very good players and then a better supporting cast than 3. I don't like the big 3. But when you get a chance to get somebody like Beal and Booker and KD together, you've got to do it. And I think the owner, Matt Ishbia, wanted to make a splash when he come in. He was like, look, this KD trade's been here for a few months now. Why are we not doing it? Let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. Let's make a splash. And he's definitely come in and wanted to do that. So, but when you get in players of that caliber, the pressure's on, mate. And so far, they've probably not lived up to it, really. We should be in the top 2, really. In terms of the talent with those big 3, but it kind of hasn't happened like that.
Down west, that down west.
Yeah, and we've been so up and down, bro. So, some games, like defensively, we've just been like really poor. So we've put it on ourselves, and Vogel's meant to be this defensive specialist, but I think in the last 10 games, I think we've been very a lot better defensive effort and stuff, which you've got to be. If you can't not have, you've got to have at least a mid-level defense to win a title, mate. You can't not play defense and win championships. That, you know, the 7 seconds or less Suns clearly proved back in the day. You've got to have defense. You've got to stop somebody at some point. You've got to have stops. You can't rely on scoring. But if we shoot like we can, if we shoot threes well, like Grayson Allen and them guys, Grayson Allen's been a massive surprise for me this year. I've been really impressed with him. He leads the league in 3-point percentage. If we score like we can roll with anybody, and we've beat Denver twice this season and Minnesota. So if we play like we can play, then why the hell not? But I think we're going to be in the playing, bro.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap it up there. But lads, Matt, this has been absolutely, incredible fun to have you on. We could probably talk all day about hoops. We're going to have to strap in for the week. Before we do go, Matt, can you tell us and everyone where we can find you on socials?
Thanks very much, man. Thanks a lot, guys. We got to do it eventually. It happened eventually. So honestly, it's been a pleasure to be on, and I'll have to have you guys on mine. We'll have to do a home and away podcast and stuff, man. That would be cool. So yeah, guys, you can reach me at the Shooters Lounge 3 on the socials, Instagram and Twitter. We do the live show every other Monday at 8 p.m. UK time, and then I've been doing some pre-recorded podcasts to drop in between the live shows and stuff. I'm hoping during the playoffs I'm going to do some live shows, some watch-alongs or something like that. So I'll have a word to you guys about that after we've finished recording. But honestly, it's been a pleasure, guys. Honestly. I just enjoy talking hoops, mate. I can't help myself. Yeah. I'd be here all night if you didn't stop me, bro. So yeah, we better end it there, mate.
Yeah, we agree. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
Glenn, would you like to do the honours?
Yep, and obviously, of course, you can find myself and Sam on X at With the English One. Why is it number 1, Sam?
Because we are the only podcast called With the English.
How to put English on the basketball.